Welcome to the STEM Confidence Podcast, where we talk about how to turn your data into powerful insights. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the STEM Confidence Podcast. It has been a while since we last talked, so first of all, I would like to wish you all a happy and healthy new year. This episode is actually inspired by a situation that I am in, which is writing my PhD thesis and wrapping up this part of my academic journey. I was thinking, how could I optimize this entire process and what would I need to do in order to make this process easier and sort of break it into chunks since it has been a really long journey. And then I remembered the metaphor about eating the elephant, like how would you eat an elephant one piece at a time? And the same philosophy applies to my thesis. So I wanted to share with you some thoughts and some tips that I have about that. In general, when you think about summarizing a lot of work that you've already done, it can feel like quite a daunting challenge. So today, I want to talk about how to start when you need to talk about your work, whether in written or in presentation format. I noticed that several of my clients have issues when it comes to synthesizing their work in a way that is both easy for them to do and easy for the audience or the reader to understand. And that is why I would like to offer a checklist that you could use whenever you have to present or talk about your work. So the very first step is to know what you want to talk about. I know this might sound weird, but when you actually ask people what they want to talk about, they rarely have a complete sentence with a precise topic in mind. And I see this happening time and time again with my clients. Often they just say, I want to talk about my work, or I want to talk about my research. But in order to start creating a story around your work, it is crucial for us to know the main topic. Just to give an example, let's say that you are a biologist about to give a talk. Instead of saying, I'm going to talk about my recent work with gut bacteria, you could write down the following sentence. I want to talk about the impact of food on the gut microbiome. I suggest you write it down in one sentence, since by doing so, it is much easier to set the tone for your entire story. So to summarize, the first step on your checklist is writing a sentence that summarizes what you want to talk about. You can later reuse it as a title of your report or even the opening sentence of your presentation. If you imagine this process of writing or creating a presentation as a vacation, this step would be like choosing your destination. And this is why it is the most important one and should be established first. Alright, now that we already decided the main topic and are able to say it in one sentence, the second step is to identify the key points and supporting details that will help elaborate on your chosen subject. Now it is time to break down the broader theme into specific components or aspects that contribute to the overall narrative. Basically, in this step, it is very important to really consider what information is crucial for your audience. What information should they have in order to understand the context and significance of your work? This step will help you organize your thoughts and create a structured framework for your presentation or written piece. So to continue with the example of the biologist researching the gut microbiome. In this step, you would make a list of all the crucial aspects of your work. For example, what experimental results are the most important ones? What kind of experiments were performed? What does the current literature say about these results? And so on. So the goal is to provide an overview. In our vacation metaphor, this step would be like choosing the sites you want to visit. As in a vacation, you will obviously not be seeing all the things a place has to offer. This is why you should be really specific when selecting the key points of your subject. And finally, the third step includes crafting a logical flow for communication. With your key points and supporting details identified, the third step involves crafting a logical flow for your communication. This means that in this step, you should arrange the information in a sequence that makes sense and ensures a smooth transition from one point to the next. All of that helps your audience follow the progression of your ideas and maintains their engagement, which is also very important. Whether it is a written document or a presentation, having a well-organized structure provides clarity and makes it much easier both for you and your audience to navigate throughout the entire content of your talk. Again, using the vacation metaphor, it would be like choosing the itinerary for the day. You could visit the same sites in many ways, but it makes sense to design your trip so that it suits your specific needs and wishes. And the same thing happens with the narrative around the key points. Make sure to connect them in an order that makes sense. And this isn't necessarily the chronological order of how things happened in your work. In fact, in most cases, it is better to start by providing context, then the main results, and then the methods by which you achieved it. So to summarize, in order to make a story with your data, you should first establish the main topic you want to talk about. Ideally, it should be one sentence that describes the entire work. Next, you should choose some key points that offer some more details about the established topic. Think about the points that could help elaborating your subject. Perhaps some main findings, main results, or specifics about the used methods and so on. And finally, connect the chosen key points in a logical flow. Make sure to communicate your points in a way that makes sense to the audience or the reader. Remember, you already know your subject. The goal is to help people who are outside your specific area to understand it. I hope you use this storytelling checklist the next time you need to talk about your work, whether in written or in presentation format. Thank you for listening, and until next time. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you are ready to elevate your communication skills and transform your data into valuable insights, schedule a free discovery call on the link in the description.